Hi everyone, welcome back. I am continuing to read from Wine Comes in Six Packs. I hope you guys have enjoyed my other book readings. If you haven't seen them, you can find them on my YouTube channel or you can find them on my website. Uh, I also have all my book readings that I have done for It'll Feel Better When It Quits Hurting if you want to look up those. And I hope that this will intrigue you enough to think about buying my book. Anyway, all the buy links are on my webpage. You can get it on, obviously, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Smashwords. It's pretty much everywhere. If you buy a book, you can probably find my book there. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this book reading, and here we go. Also, don't forget, I do have dyslexia. I really try to do my best. Sometimes I stumble over my own words. I'm doing the best I can. It's very hard for me to do what I'm doing. So, forgive me, guys. All right, here we go. A New Life. Without a cent to my name, 2 small sons, and 10 boxes, I was starting my journey, for the first time in my life, completely on my own. Leaving behind almost everything in Phoenix, all those things people accumulate as they pass through their lives were now gone. I was beginning again. This whole starting a new life thing was hard. I started with less 3 years ago when I moved to Phoenix, but I was also single, unencumbered by children, and had a nice wad of cash to start my new life with from all the jobs I had taken in high school. Now, I was broke, with 2 small children depending on me, and nowhere near the amount of confidence I had started out with at 18. Living with Leanne and Vern helped me regain some of my lost confidence and a chance to learn to be on my own again, while still having someone to turn to when I needed help. As a college student, Leanne's group of friends opened my eyes to new possibilities and opportunities. I still didn't know what I wanted, but at least I was becoming more comfortable with the idea of making my own decisions. But after several months of living with Leanne and Vern, as helpful as they had been, I made a decision I wasn't comfortable with, but one I made nonetheless. With all of us cramped into a small 2-bedroom apartment, living together was beginning to wear on our friendship. Small grievances were beginning to pile up between us and getting higher every day. So, after 2 months of living together, for the sake of our friendship, I packed up my few belongings and moved back in with my mother. It wasn't the best place for me. Nothing had changed, but with no other options and with a lot of misgivings, I returned to her home. Poring over the newspaper every day for work, I found a fast food place willing to hire me. It wasn't a great job, but it was work, and that's what mattered. For a month, I saved every penny for the sole purpose of moving out on my own. When I was ready, I started searching through the newspapers and found an apartment big enough for me and the boys, within walking distance of work and within my limited price range. Signing the lease papers, for the first time in a long time, I felt a faint whiff of independence and hope. I still owned almost no possessions, but at least I had a place I could call my own. Staring at my new apartment with nothing but cribs for the boys, their toys, and a few small miscellaneous items, I smiled. This was it. I was officially starting my new life. No one to tell me what to do or how to behave anymore. No one else setting the rules or telling me how to arrange my life. I had a job, an apartment, some spare change in my pocket, and absolutely no clue what to do next. Taking a deep breath to settle my thumping heartbeat, I sat down in the middle of the floor and started thinking. Not just about now, as I had been forced to do for many years as I struggled to survive Nev, or more recently as I dealt with leaving him, but about my future. What did I want out of life? What did I want to be? And the answer was, I had no idea. Not a single inkling of where to go from there. I had lived in the now so much, I had forgotten how to think about the future. I had forgotten my own dreams, my own wants during my time with Nev. As the whole world of possibilities crashed down on me, I felt small under the weight of it, paralyzed by the idea of my own freedom. What if I messed up? What if I made a mistake? What if it was a mistake? Was it a mistake coming back to Quincy and giving up my life in Phoenix? What if everything I had done was wrong? And what if I continued to make wrong choices? Oh, God, what was I going to do? Wallowing in misery, I heard my sons in the next room, and responding to their needs, I stood back up and took hold of my resolve once more. They needed me. They needed me to figure this out so they could have a chance at a decent life. They needed me to pull myself together. Somehow, some way, I had to, for all of us. I just didn't know how. Working my way through my days in fits and starts, I began filling my life. Starting with our immediate needs, I acquired furniture to sit on and a bed to sleep in. No headboard or frame, but better than the blanket pallet I had been sleeping on when I first moved in. A small black and white TV bought for the boys more than me, with only 2 channels. But I was getting there. Going to thrift stores, yard sales, and swap meets, I bought things for my kitchen, a dresser for our clothes, a table to eat at. My place looked like a third-hand trinket shop. Nothing matched. Most of it was old and threadbare, but it was mine. But during my time with Neb, I had forgotten many things, like how to laugh, interact with people naturally, or make decisions on my own. Deciding what to pick from a menu would make me break out into a cold sweat. Out in public, I would find myself retreating inwards when there was a large group of people around me, whether they were close family or random strangers. I scanned for exits anywhere I went and positioned myself in any room with my back against the wall so I could watch every person and no one could sneak up on me. Often feeling lost and alone, living inside my head more than I was in the real world. I could barely tolerate physical contact, forcing myself to accept hugs and other small physical gestures, but people sensed my reluctance no matter how hard I tried to hide it. My behavior isolated me from the warm companionship I once so easily embraced before in my life, and I missed it desperately. I found myself spending most of my time alone or with my sons, continuing unconsciously the isolation that Nev had imposed on my previous life. I clung to habits that had kept me moderately safe before, but now made me look like either an idiot or crazy to anyone around me. I was, to be honest with myself, quite nuts at this point. Functional, but nuts. I started going to a counselor, but after seeing her a few times, I felt it was useless to continue going. She advised me to forget what happened, move on, go back to the familiar, and try to pick up my life from where it was before the abuse had started. But I had changed. My world had changed too much to go back to who I was before. I didn't even know who that person was. And how was I supposed to forget something I still had nightmares about every night? Just put out of my mind something that controlled my every waking thought and action? How was I supposed to pretend my life had not happened and just move on? And the answer was, I couldn't. Not yet. Not with the pain still so raw it burned in restless waves inside my mind. I cried a lot, alone in my apartment with only my sons to keep me company, missing my old life, missing Nev, and hating myself for it. As hard as I was trying to get my life in order, it was just as quickly spiraling out of control as I sank deeper into depression and self-loathing. Stress and anxiety left me unable to sleep, staying awake sometimes for days at a time, and it added to my mental distress. Months after returning from Phoenix, I was suffering through another bout of insomnia, another night of lying awake on my couch staring at my small black and white TV and unable to sleep no matter how tired I felt. Resigning myself to yet another night of wakefulness, listlessly staring at the TV without paying attention to what was playing across the screen. The program turned to infomercials. With only 2 channels to choose from and nothing worth watching on either one, it didn't matter anyway. I just wanted the company of sound and the quiet of the night, so I didn't feel quite so alone. Watching aimlessly, a bright, happy woman came on, staring straight out of the screen, talking about her fitness program and how great it was. She gleefully droned on for a while about the wonders of her program, then paused. Looking straight at the camera, at me, she says, "After my divorce, all I did was sit on my couch, cry, eat ice cream, and plot my husband's death." Sitting up, she had my full attention. She could have been talking directly to me with those words. And then one day, I decided I was either going to spend the rest of my life letting his memory control my life, making me miserable, or I could get up and do something about it. And she was right. I needed to get up, to do something about it. I didn't want to sit miserable on my couch anymore, crying and plotting Nev's death. I don't know why this fitness-happy woman connected so much for me, or why her words stirred something inside me when everything else had left me unmoved. Maybe it was her cheerful smile as she talked about her husband's demise. Maybe it was her bright, confident attitude as she talked about changing her life for the better. Maybe it was her gleeful happiness, how much she hated her ex. But whatever it was, it changed my life. In the middle of the night, I had an epiphany. I could spend the rest of my life miserable, or I could do something about it. I didn't have to sit around waiting for time to heal all wounds. I didn't have to go back to being the person I used to be. I could change the course of my life instead of waiting for life to change me. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I did know what I didn't want to do anymore. This was not the life I wanted. This was not the life I wanted for my sons. I needed to change. I couldn't go back to the person I used to be. That person was a stranger to me now, and I wasn't even sure if I liked the person I had been. I don't know who I was going to be yet, but I was not going to be as I had been before. I didn't want to be just another victim, living scared and hiding from the world for the rest of my life. And so I set out to change my life. I started to think about going to college again. I had earned a scholarship while in high school from the University of Arizona, but with Nev's arrival in Phoenix and a new baby on the way, thoughts of going to college had been put aside. But now I found myself thinking about it. With trembling hope, I applied to the community college in town, and they accepted me for fall classes. I didn't want to work in fast food all my life, and this was a means of getting me to where I wanted to be. With my college acceptance letter tucked away, waiting for fall classes to begin, I was beginning to have dreams of maybe getting a PhD someday, life permitting. But for now, I was content to study hard and focus on gaining my associate's degree. I started reconnecting with my friends, going out more and spending less time alone. I started making other small changes, gaining confidence in my ability to make a choice, growing each day. I began to work on how I interacted with people, worked on smiling and opening myself up to the possibility of living again. I made a conscious effort to engage with people, striking up conversations with new people while out with friends, and becoming more comfortable with whoever it was I was becoming. With each step forward, my life began to take on meaning beyond living day to day. I had filled my apartment, and then my life, and finally, my soul, with something beyond mere survival. I had hope. Real, honest hope for the first time in what seemed like a lifetime, and maybe it was. For my entire life, I had always belonged to someone or something else. My parents, the court system while in foster care, and with only a short breath of freedom of 3 months before Neb came to make his claim on my life. Looking around at all I had accomplished, I felt proud of all I had done so far removed from where I had first arrived. I was free, perhaps for the first time in my life, to go out and make a huge mess of it, all on my own. All right, that's it for this week. I will be reading a few more sections from the first chapter of Wine Comes in Six Packs. I hope that you guys will check out my book and maybe purchase it. That would be really nice. Okay, anyway, you guys have a great week, and I will see you again next Sunday. Everyone, take care. Bye-bye.